There is something going on inside you that is not yet fully understood. Something growing silently, on the edge of your conscious awareness. It's not about predicting the future, nor finding ready-made answers, but about making space to listen to what is forming inside you. This message is for anyone who feels that something has changed, but doesn't know what yet. Lately, you've been standing out in a way that you may not have recognized yet. There is something in you that has grown very strong, a presence, a firmness, a focus, but that remains invisible to your own eyes. It's as if you were looking away, so absorbed in some specific issue, that you didn't even notice that, in the meantime, something powerful is developing inside you. This issue that occupies most of your attention today is not distracting you from your strength. She is actually helping to shape it. The intense concentration you have been dedicating to this specific point in your life is channeling an energy that expands in another direction, almost without you noticing. What appears to be a challenge or distraction may actually be the trigger for quiet but consistent growth. The irony is that this strength is directly linked to something seemingly small. Maybe it's a delicate situation, an object, a choice that seems tiny compared to the whole of your life. But that is precisely where the depth of this experience lies. The size of the thing does not reflect the size of the transformation it is generating. You are so involved in this detail because it touches you, moves you, disturbs you, that perhaps you have failed to notice how much it is activating dormant aspects of your own power. You may even feel lost, trying to find a solution, wanting to understand why this is happening now. But the universe wants to show you that, even without clear answers, you are already moving. Even without understanding, you are already becoming stronger. There is a process going on, perhaps painful, perhaps confusing, that is clearing the way for something new, like an invisible purification. This moment invites you to face what needs healing, not only in the outside world, but also within yourself. Purification requires presence, and that is why you are so immersed in it. Something inside you knows that you need to look at this point with full attention. Even if it seems like something small, something mundane, this process is pulling your energy because it represents something much bigger than it appears. It could be related to your purpose, your body, the way you occupy space in the world, your deepest identity. It is not uncommon for true strength to emerge in the moments when we feel most fragile. And perhaps that is why you have not yet recognized what is blossoming. You are still asking questions, you are still looking for paths, but it is precisely in this movement of questioning that a new energetic connection is being created. You are not standing still, you are opening a door, even if it is still ajar. This door does not lead to a new place outside of you. It reveals something inside. A space of courage, an impulse to start over, an energy that is only activated when you accept to walk, even without guarantees. And that's when everything starts to change. When you accept to look head-on at what you don't yet understand, but feel is real. You don't need to see the result now. The universe just wants you to know. The energy is already moving, the strength is already growing, and it is yours. Even if you can't yet perceive it, you are holding something, perhaps literally, perhaps symbolically, that has the power to change the course of your life. It's not something grand or obvious. At first glance it may even seem irrelevant, but there is an energetic intensity in what you are experiencing now that transcends its shape or size. It may be a decision you are still hesitant to make. It could be a memory, a person, a feeling that refuses to go unnoticed. The universe wants to remind you that transformation rarely starts with the obvious. What often seems like just a detail can actually be the axis around which everything revolves. You are deeply involved in this situation because it is shaking the foundations of your identity. It directly affects how you perceive yourself, how you position yourself in the world, how you feel about your own body, your own value, your own space. This intense involvement is not a waste of energy. Rather, it is through this immersion that you are reorganizing something on subtle levels. There is a cleansing taking place, a reordering that may not yet have become visible, but is about to manifest. As you try to resolve this issue, you are activating deep layers of yourself that were previously dormant. Often the mind wants answers while the body is still digesting the process. This can make it seem like you are going around in circles when in fact you are going through successive layers of learning. Doubt is part of the process, exhaustion too, but there is something in you that is taking hold almost like a root that expands silently, in no rush to appear on the surface. The curious thing is that the more you delve into this specific point, this focus that occupies your attention, the more energy accumulates in another area, less visible, but much more transformative. The purification you are going through in isolation is connected to other areas of your life: purpose, self-confidence, body, presence, direction. It's possible that you're feeling your body differently, as if it's trying to show you something. The way you breathe, move, and react emotionally, everything seems a little more intense. This is no coincidence. You are embodying a new energy without even realizing it. You are learning to inhabit a new inner space, more aligned with the strength you have always had, but which you perhaps did not yet know how to access. You are at a turning point. And the strangest thing is that it doesn't look anything like what you imagined a big change would be. There are no advertisements, no lights on, no clear signs. Just this feeling of touching something that seems small, but that transforms you completely. It is normal to feel uncertainty in this process. It's normal to question if you're headed in the right direction, but the universe wants you to know, the energy that is moving now is real, and you are closer than you think to seeing its first signs unfold. It's not time to understand everything yet. It's time to keep breathing, caring, and observing, because revelation comes right after silent persistence. You may think you are just trying to solve a problem, but in fact you are being led to a new way of existence, a way that is more fulfilled, more present, and more connected to what really matters. You are not standing still, you are being prepared. There are times when we feel like we are just going through a difficult phase, trying to resolve something that seems out of place. But the universe acts on levels that we cannot always see immediately. And while you are focused on this issue that is still seeking a solution, something profound has already been triggered, an opening. It's as if by accepting to deal with this problem, even without understanding all the reasons, you turned in a specific direction, a direction that opened an energetic connection that didn't exist before. The feeling may even be one of stagnation, but don't be fooled. A quiet strength is flowing from this choice you have made. Just the fact that you committed to this process was enough to create movement. The most important thing now is not to try to see everything at once, but to respect the time of this transition. You are going through something that from the outside may seem small, but inside it is turning you inside out. And when this happens, when something in you breaks to make way for the new, it is common to feel insecure, fragile, with shaky legs. You are stepping into unknown territory, not because you did something wrong, but because you finally decided to go beyond what was already known. This point of instability you feel today is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is proof that you have left the automatic mode, that you are accessing more subtle levels of your consciousness. It's uncomfortable, yes. Sometimes you feel like retreating, going back to what was familiar, even if it wasn't good. But this phase of deconstruction is necessary. It's the point where the old version of who you were begins to give way for something new to emerge. You're in the middle of the beginning, so everything still seems a bit hazy. The strength is already there, but it is still adjusting to your body, your way of feeling, thinking, and acting. It's as if it's being incorporated little by little, until you feel ready to carry it naturally. And until then, everything seems a little uncertain. This door that was opened, without much noise, without warning, will show itself clearly later on. For now, perhaps it still seems like just a crack, a feeling that there is something different in the air. But when you look back, you will realize how significant that moment was when everything seemed to stand still, but in fact it was being created. You are not lost, you are in transition. The difference is subtle, but profound. And yes, it takes courage, because starting something you've never experienced before requires overcoming the fear of the unknown. It requires trusting without guarantees, following without maps. But the universe wouldn't bring you here if you weren't ready. The strength you need is not outside. It has already started to grow inside you and will continue to grow even on days when you are still unable to feel this moment. It is actually an invitation to stop waiting for the ideal moment and start listening to what is already happening now, to realize that the answer will not come from outside, but from a silent place inside you that only reveals itself when you stop fighting what you feel. Sometimes it feels like there's a wall in front of you, something that blocks your view of what's beyond. But what if it's not a wall? What if it's just a door that hasn't been fully opened yet? What's on the other side may not be what you expect, it may be better. It could be a kind of miracle that only reveals itself to those who have the courage to go through the process, even without knowing where it will lead. That's where you are now, a point where everything seems uncertain, but where the most important thing has already happened, the decision to move forward, even when afraid. And that's what changes everything. You may not realize it yet, but what seemed like just a moment of pause, blockage, or doubt was preparing you for something that only time would be able to reveal. There is a moment in the journey when silence begins to speak. And it is at this point that you begin to understand that the process that bothered you so much was, in fact, the necessary interval between who you were and who you are becoming. It's not always easy to recognize the value of something while you're in the middle of it, especially when that something seems to carry doubts, insecurities, and a constant feeling of being less than you should be. But the universe does not work in haste, it works with precision. And at this very moment, the strength you thought you had lost is being rebuilt, but in a new way, more solid, more honest, more true. Maybe you still feel like you're groping in the dark, uncertain, not knowing if you're doing the right thing. This is expected. You are accessing levels of your existence that require sensitivity, not speed. At this stage, clarity comes later. First comes the strangeness, then the adaptation. Only then, over time, will it fit. But even if everything seems confusing now, know that what is being built within you has value. The way you deal with this stage, with courage, with vulnerability, with trying, is what prepares you to sustain what comes next. It's not about coming out of this better, as if it were an imposed lesson. It's about coming out of this more aligned with who you really are, less conditioned by fear and more guided by a confidence that springs from within. And yes, this is all about purpose. Even if you can't make the connection yet, even if what's consuming you today seems too small to influence your greater path, there is a connection. Because everything that forces you to look inside, everything that forces you to choose more consciously, all of this redefines your way of being in the world. And that's what purpose ultimately means: presence, truth, integration. You are learning to occupy your own space, to recognize what you feel, to move even when you are afraid. And this is shaping not just your external trajectory, but your internal structure, the one that supports everything. When this foundation is firm, everything that comes after settles more lightly. What the universe wants to show you now is simple: you are already further along than you think. The hardest part may already be over, even if you haven't noticed it yet. What's next may surprise you, because it's not just about solving a problem. It's about realizing that this problem was the gateway to something much bigger, something that belongs to you, that is on your path, that carries your energetic signature. That's why the word miracle starts to make sense, because after so much confusion, after so much emotional effort, you will realize that something has changed and you won't even know exactly when it happened. You will simply feel that the pain has given way to a new understanding, that the fear has dissolved into trust, that the wait is suddenly over. And at that moment, you will no longer need to look for signs, because the sign will be you. The way you look at things, the way you occupy your own body, the clarity with which you decide, without needing to prove anything to anyone. This miracle that the universe is preparing is not a spectacular event coming from outside. It is the return of your own strength, now renewed, mature, silent, but immense. You may be on the brink of something you never imagined you would experience. And the most beautiful part of this is that you may not even realize when exactly you crossed over to the other side. This happens when suddenly fear no longer holds us back, doubt no longer paralyzes us, waiting is no longer so painful. You simply realize that it has passed, that something in you has passed. This crossing has no applause or visible landmarks. It reveals itself in a subtle way, in the way you react to something that previously unbalanced you, in the silence that no longer scares you, in the ability to stay where you are, without needing to run away or explain yourself. The universe wants you to know, you are ready. You may not feel this way yet, but that's only because you're used to seeking external confirmation. The truth is that this strength that you are about to discover, or that you have already started to feel without naming it, is yours. It always was. It was just waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. It is common for us to associate the beginning of something great with a feeling of excitement or clarity, but often the true beginning comes with fear, with hesitation, with a racing heart. It comes with the feeling of treading on unstable ground, because that is what is new, something that has not been experienced before and therefore so valuable. You may think you are facing a problem, but if you look closer, you will realize that what you called a problem was the lever for a new version of yourself. It's not just about understanding, it's about feeling. It's not about controlling, it's about allowing. Allow yourself to move on even without knowing. Allow yourself to trust even without proof. Allow yourself to change course, embrace discomfort, make room for the unexpected. There is a new energy that is already flowing, and it came as a response to your surrender, to your silence, to your courage to remain, even without understanding. That's what turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. That's what makes the simple a miracle. And yes, that is the word miracle. Not because something magical will come from outside, but because something very deep is already happening inside. Because a new frequency is being established. Because what once seemed confusing now begins to make sense. And when you look back, it won't be to regret, it will be to be thankful for not giving up on yourself, for getting through it even without guarantees, for trusting, even when you were afraid. Now it's up to you. The universe has already delivered the message. And if it touched your heart, if at any time you felt that this was for you, then write in the comments, "I recognize my strength." That is your statement. This is your portal. Share this message with anyone who needs to hear it today. And if you want to continue receiving these messages from the universe, subscribe to the channel. Your journey is just beginning, and this time you're going all out.